Well, welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Dangote Refinery plans to embark on free distribution of petrol and diesel to marketers, dealers and other large-scale users across Nigeria with effect from the 15th of August 2025. How much of this plan is anchored in patriotism and how much of it is driven by the need to expand the company's already very successful business strategy in the downstream sector of the oil and gas industry? Well, to make things a bit clearer, we are now being joined by Dr. Ifeoma Nwokolo, Assistant Vice President, Economic Research at Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Good morning and lovely to have you on the morning show.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, some people will say this is patriotic. Some people will say that this is a way to create another monopoly in a critical sector in Nigeria. Where do you stand on Dangote's free distribution of petrol and diesel?
Well, Dangote's initiative is a strategic move towards re-evolutionizing distribution of fuel in Nigeria and also trying to move or drive the sector towards efficiency. But before I go into this conversation, I want us to have a flashback of what this market looks like. 5, 10, 15 years ago, it was an imperfect market, opaque. Government was in charge of pricing. There was subsidy, massive importation. That was what we had then. There was scarcity of oil. You notice that each time we have festive season, there's always scarcity of oil. Back then, that was the market we had. So we transitioned from an imperfect market to a perfect market. Even though in economics, there's nothing, it's theoretical, there's no perfect market in the real life. But this gives us a benchmark model. It gives us a benchmark model to be able to compare the markets with monopoly and oligopoly. So that's why we're saying the market is perfect competitive market. It is open. It is fully deregulated. No government intervention. So market prices, the prices of PMS is determined by market forces, which is the exchange rate, which is the global oil price, and also logistics costs, which Dangote is trying to erase. So one could say, where is this benevolence coming from?
That's an important question.
Yes. This benevolence is coming from what we call economics of scales. Economics of scale simply means when you have a large production. Of course, we know Dangote Refinery has a capacity to produce about 650,000 million barrels of fuel per day, which is already producing up to 85% of that. So his production is massive. And when your production is massive in economies of scale, then your costs of units of production reduces, bringing about cost efficiency. So if he's not doing what he's doing now, he's not benefiting the masses. So in order for us to benefit from this cost efficiency, that is why we saw this reduction in price, which is coming as removal of logistics costs and the quality of the products. These are the ways he can transmit this cost efficiency to the consumer. And this can be seen as being competitive. This is an open market.
But can anyone compete with that?
Can anyone compete with that?
With Dangote's economies of scale, no?
Can NNPC compete with that?
NNPC doesn't have that capacity. That is why competition comes in. Let's not forget that aside NNPC, we have almost about 9 modular refineries, which we're told are functioning.
You don't think they are?
Of course, they are functioning.
Okay.
Then we have the Port Harcourt refinery, which we're told was functioning. We have the Warri refineries. All these refineries put together, this is a game of competition. And without competition, there's no efficiency. Unlike the old market where we're coming from, there was no competition, hence there was no efficiency. Here, we're out for competition. Price war. So we have efficiency. We are driving towards efficiency. And for you and I as consumers to benefit, because the open market is consumer-centered.
Yeah.
For us to benefit from it, there must be competition. Because it's only competition that can improve the welfare of a consumer.
So what do you say? I mean, economics of scale, you have really broken it down for us. What do you say to these, I don't know if to call it naysayers, people that are just really hampering on the fact that this is outright monopoly. I mean, I know that, you have broken down how it is going to become more competitive with this reduction of logistic costs. And obviously, it will definitely trickle down to reduce inflation and all of that as well. What do you say to those who are saying this is outright monopoly, monopolizing the market?
Well, this is not, in fact, I don't agree with that assertion. One, because Dangote is not the only producer here. We have other producers.
So how about oligopoly?
It's not oligopoly. Oligopoly is when you have just two producers. You have few producers. We have 9 modular refineries. Yeah. And I keep saying, on one of my interviews, I know I mentioned, in channels, I know I mentioned that if governments are not able to manage this, we should have what we call private partnership. Or they should sell it out to private individuals who are able to do this. This is not monopoly in any sense, because monopoly does not exist in an open market. It's a market that you have free entry and free exit, because it's fully deregularized. So anybody talking about monopoly, I don't agree with that assertion. It doesn't come in play here.
All right, this benevolence, that's the word that you used.
Yeah.
Okay, this benevolence, there must be naira and kobo to it, and if we drill it down to the cost of acquisition of all these CNG buses, and I think that's a brilliant idea to have chosen CNG, buses. There's a cost to it. For every trip that they make, for every fuel distribution that they undertake to different marketers, there's a cost to it. The worry for many people is that that cost might ultimately be borne by consumers. And we already see that unlike during the Salah holidays that petrol was 860 something, 850 something, depending on where you're buying from. It has gradually moved back to above 900. And people say that when you calculate all this for 40 naira, 60 naira, 100 naira, ultimately, it means that it's coming back to Adesua, Oji, and Steve to pay each time we, buy fuel at petrol station. So people are saying that, is there real benevolence here? Because the price comes back to people. Then secondly would be that, at what point will Dangote stop? Yes, this is a brilliant idea. On paper, we believe that by implementation it will be good. But then, is there the likelihood that Dangote will also go into direct distribution, buying his own retail fuel stations, just to make efficiency a lot better, given the argument that you have just given us?
Okay. If you look at this cost efficiency, 4,000 CNG trucks. CNG is cost efficient, better than diesel, better than petrol. So I think his own way of getting back this, his gain is his market share. That's the market share. Because that's what they are driving towards. Once you are becoming competitive, no one will invest so much as huge as $23 billion and wouldn't want to make some gains. You won't go to bed. You look for innovations, you look for initiatives that will make you break even. So this benevolence of cost efficiency that is coming from economic of scale, where he's going to get back his gain is through his market share. Because when you have a larger market share, you make your profits. So it's not going back to consumer. Then when you talk about the price increase of fuel, I told you earlier that the price of fuel, of PMS today, is determined by market forces. This morning, as I was sitting out there, I opened my phone and I've checked the price of crude oil. It's now $77 per barrel. As of 2 days ago, it was 66. As of a week ago, it was $64 per barrel. So between 64 and 77, we have over 20% increment. So that is what determines the price of PMS in Nigeria.
Even for the old stock.
For the old stock.
Yeah, because the price that you are referring to is because of America striking Iran. It's because of the Iran-Israeli war.
Of course, that is why it's the geopolitical tension that drives the oil of crude oil, of the price of crude oil. That is for retail pump sellers. I know yesterday we got a circular. The SM depot price has increased to 880.
880.
Okay.
880. So you know that some retailers wouldn't want to sell until they hear that the price is about 950 or 8,000. So in this part of the country, you know that prices are sticky. That was, they wouldn't want to bring down the price. Even they know, okay, PMS has come down, you hear them, we are not selling yet. They won't want to sell. They are waiting for a hike because before now, I've anticipated that the price of PMS is going to increase because of the way the global oil price was going. So it didn't just increase yesterday. It's been increasing for the past 1 week since we had this Iran-Israel saga. It has been increasing, but prices have not moved. It just moved yesterday.
Can I ask a question? Because, you know, you've used the word benevolence quite often here, and some people worry, and I'd like us to compare, you know, Dangote's, what some people might see as predatory pricing or pricing other people out of the market. I want us to compare it to what is usually spoken about as the Nigerian cement oligarchy, where you have Dangote Cement, Bua, and Lafarge. Have Nigerians benefited from exceptionally cheap cement prices because of these companies? No. We don't pay cheap prices compared to our neighbors and other countries in sub-Saharan Africa when it comes to cement. And we have little to say. The consumer has lesser power when you have huge companies dominating the market. So if Dangote then dominates this downstream sector, such a critical sector in Nigeria, will that disempower the consumer?
Well, I would say that competition is inevitable in this sector. I've said that before. So what is going to drive investment into this sector? So there's the need for revamping, if I may use the word, the refineries that we have. It's a wake-up call, if I may use that word. It's a wake-up call to NNPC, it's a wake-up call to other refineries to wake up to this competition. Because the competition is not a child's play. So I don't think he's trying to monopolize the market. I don't try, he's not trying to monopolize the market. What he's only trying to do is to compete.
Trying to compete. Again, the word benevolence is going to come in with my next question because it's not just the free transportation. There's also this credit facility. I'd like for you to detail the key factors surrounding this credit facility that is being offered for purchases of a minimum of 500,000 liters and an additional 500,000 liters on credit for 2 weeks under bank guarantee. I mean, what does this structure benefit for, you know, the average purchaser? But more importantly, how does it feel that there would be?
Okay, if you talk about the credit facility, we know that a lot of, after the removal of subsidy, a lot of petrol stations have shut down because prices of purchasing a truck of PMS increased by more than 3 times. So this is an opportunity, credit facility opportunity. But let's not forget that aside the extra credits of 500,000 liters that will be given to a bulk buyer, there's a but.
There's a but.
You must have a bank guarantee. So the risk here does not come in play. A bank must guarantee that you are going to pay this money. So if you don't pay, what happens? The bank will be held responsible for not paying. So it's not just an open offer. It comes with a but.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a but there. Let me go back to the issue of the Israel-Iran war, and America has gotten involved. From the look of things, except Iran surrenders and negotiates, we might be in for a long haul. If that happens, that will drive the oil prices up. Nigeria as a country will benefit, but from your analysis, we, the consumers, will pay more.
Yeah.
From August the 15th, when this CNG operation, intervention becomes operational, the whole idea is to give some succor to the end buyers. How much of that do you think that will help Nigerian consumers, buyers of fuel at the filling station, because the cost of logistics will have been eliminated? So as prices are going up because of Iran and Israel, there will be intervention from Dangote. What do you think that you and I should look forward to from August the 15th in terms of, at least there will be a bit of a respite? Will it be in kobos or in tens of nairas or in hundreds of naira?
Well, I would say that as long as there's no ceasefire talk yet, prices of oil, crude oil price globally will continue to spike.
Yeah.
So if this continues, we know it's going to have a trickle-down effect on the price of PMS in Nigeria, because those are the factors that determine the price of PMS. So once this happens, of course, we know Dangote is removing the logistics costs from taking this fuel across the country. So we are going to benefit from prices. We're not talking about the main PMS price this time.
Yes.
It's going to follow suits. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the add-ons, which is the logistics cost. Once that is off, remember, he's not just distributing to retailers and marketers. He's distributing to manufacturers, distributing to telecoms, to whom it may concern, as long as you are dealing with a large volume of whether PMS, whether diesel. Yes. So for the manufacturers this time, if you talk about production in the manufacturing sector, energy is about 40% of production in the manufacturing sector. So once this happens, if the add-ons are removed, we can say okay, it can reduce to about 35%.
Really?
It's just an assumption. If that add-on is removed, of course, there will be a decline in the cost of your production, because energy cost has declined by maybe marginally.
Yeah.
And this will filter into the cost of your production, which will filter into your products. There will be minimal decline in the price of products, and the consumers are going to benefit from it. Yes. Prices of commodities might reduce minimally. And once it reduces minimally, there's more demand. Once there's more demand, productivity increases. Once productivity increases, demand for labor increases. Once demand for labor increases, you have more employment. Government even gains from it, because you pay more income taxes, you pay more corporate taxes, because your productivity that have increased. Your profit margin will also increase. So it's a plus, it's like a multiplier effect on the economy.
Can we at any point after August 15th have a situation of below 800 naira per liter of petrol?
Below
if the add-ons are removed based on this intervention by Dangote.
Okay.
Does that likelihood exist? below 800 naira per litre?
Below 800 naira per litre depends on the ex-depot price and the global oil price. Let's not forget.
It's really all boils down to the market price, right? The global market price.
The global market price is pivotal when it comes to...
ceteris paribus.
Ceteris paribus. Once we see... Yes, of course we know very soon. It won't linger for long.
We hope so.
Yes, the geopolitics, it will not linger for... But sooner or later we might see a ceasefire talk between Israel, US, and then Iran. So we may see prices taper downwards. And once that happens, the prices of PMS, of course. We have been seeing volatility up and down, up and down. This is just because of the global oil price. So,
fantastic. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win, would you say?
Of course,
for
it's
the
a win-win.
Financial landscape of PMS and production costs, and obviously for our distributors.
Of course,
correct.
It's a win-win for everybody: consumer, government, everyone.
Well, all right.
Benefits.
On that note, we would like to thank you very much for joining us on the morning show this morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.